everyone, and welcome to Another Bite, where we rewatch the most innovative and intriguing pitches from Shark Tank. I'm Jorie, and I'm joined by Ariel.
How's it going?
And Jon.
Hey, everybody.
Today, there's an app for everything. There's an app to buy your dream car, to buy your dream house. A few little swipes, you land your dream partner. Hey, that's what I did. Well, today's product aims to take it a step further and help you book your dream wedding. Will these founders get their happily ever after, or will the sharks get cold feet? I hear wedding bells after this small break. Finding a service solution that helps you better connect with customers and keep them happy can feel impossible. Like trying to remember the name of that guy you met at a networking event. Was it Ron, or could it be Don or John? Maybe Sean? Yeah. That kind of impossible. HubSpot's all-new Service Hub can help. Well, in the service solution part, at least. It brings service and success together in one powerful platform for the first time ever. With an AI-powered help desk and an AI chatbot that handles frontline tickets fast. Plus, it comes with a customer success workspace that helps reps anticipate customer needs and a full 360 view of every customer, so your go-to-market team can keep a pulse on accounts trying to upsell or cross-sell. Also, you can scale support and drive revenue and retention. And you know what that means: better service and happier customers at every stage of their journey. Visit HubSpot.com/service so you can do more with your customers today. Today in the tank, we have Wedy, and Wedy is brought to us by Ramuza and Honest, and these founders are seeking $300,000 for 5% of their business, which is a whopping $6 million. Now, the problem these founders are trying to solve today is wedding planning. Super hard. You're dealing with multiple vendors, multiple contracts, and it's just a buzzkill. So enter their new wedding planning app, which is an app where couples can go to bundle all of their wedding services together, so they have to deal with only one contract and one price tag. So it's essentially like all-inclusive wedding bundles all together on one app, and you search based on your location, and it's just trying to make wedding planning a breeze. So thinking about our app, our founders, and our pitch, initial thoughts of Wedy?
Well, as the resident unwed expert, it seems like weddings are very stressful.
Tell us more.
I know. Let me give you my thoughts first. We'll never use this service. Just kidding. I really liked the option where you could just go in essentially and just say, this is my budget. Show me all the options that I have available for this.
Yeah.
That feels very differentiated and unique. I think the struggle with this, though, is like you got the Knot, you have Zola, you have all of these really big marketplaces, affiliate like opportunities for people who are planning their wedding to self-serve in a one-stop shop. Whereas Wedy is just a very regional, smaller scale. There doesn't seem to be many points of differentiation between them and a competitor, which is my main concern. My hot take, if they lean more into those unique features or like offering some kind of exclusivity or just something differentiated, but I feel like their biggest challenge is not getting squished by some of the national larger competitors in the space.
Yeah, that's definitely my response, because it was like, how many apps do we need in this space?
I think when it comes to wedding planning, if you ask your friends who tried to use the Knot, a bunch will say it worked amazing for me, and a bunch are going to be like, it didn't work really well for me. And I just feel like there's an actual desire when you're planning your wedding to like get the best possible service and get access to the best possible vendors. I do think there's always a window in this market to actually create new apps. I think that the business model is quite novel, I think, which is the idea of like pre-negotiated rates, a modular wedding planning marketplace where you can piece together a bunch of offerings into a menu and you click, I want to buy it all, and it all gets booked for you. The thing that I would really worry about actually is whether Wedy can deliver those services effectively. You know, I think that what you don't want to do is have a situation where, let's say the DJ doesn't show. What happens then? Does Wedy lose all of its credibility? You know, it seems like if there's one bill, then Wedy is the company that the couple is hired to contract these services with. Like, it's not a full marketplace, if I'm understanding correctly. And so that would be a little bit of the worry for me. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think for most people, it is like kind of one of the most important days of your life. And I think the idea of just like going to a website and choosing from a menu is just not the sort of depth that people actually put into picking these services out, because the stakes are too high. Like you got to prove to your mother that you're a legit grown up, and like grandma's got to have the right kind of cake and all these things.
Yeah.
I do think the details kind of matter for weddings, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a segment of the market that just doesn't care and is like, whatever.
I think you're spot on, Jon. And the reason I say that is because I used one of these apps to help plan my wedding 2 years ago. And I was really into the knot, but there was another one called the Wedding Wire, and it was everything to me. The point of concern that I really had as someone who moderately recently went through this type of process is I wanted a level of customization where it's like, but I choose specifically the band, right? And I reviewed multiple bands.
That's
and
right.
I wanted to taste the cake
Of course.
beforehand, and I chose from this level of vendors. As they were describing the app, it seemed like those were pre-picked for you.
Yeah,
So
they're all
it's like
pre-picked.
you have this budget, and it's like, and it's this one DJ, and it's this one florist, and it's this one bartender. And I don't think that actually speaks to the deep level of customization that people are looking for in the wedding, because a lot of times, like some of your wedding vision will come as the process kind of goes on, but sometimes you have a very clear idea about certain aspects of your wedding. And I'm not sure that an app like this solves for that use case as much as like a marketplace would, where you could like mix and match. Honestly, too, it feels like the job to be done is that of like an automated wedding planner.
Yeah.
And I get it, right? Like I get like wedding planners are an additional cost that some people don't want to go through. But I mean, that is a service that is dealing with all of those contracts on your behalf. So it's like, if you're going to automate the wedding planner, then you need to then have all of the options that are available with the wedding planner.
And let's not forget the actual purpose of the wedding planner. Sure, the wedding planner does a lot of admin work up front, which this website can replicate. But ultimately, it's day of. That's what the wedding planner is there for. And this comes back to the same risk, which is like, okay, so on day of, when the DJ doesn't show up, like what happens? Do you call Wedy?
Yep.
Do you call the DJ?
And it's harder for wedding planners to step in if they haven't been given the context of all of the planning. Like a lot of your contracts and your discounts actually come from the fact that your wedding planner is going to have special connections in the industry to get you discounts, or just like, you know, proprietary service, exclusivity. That's part of the reasons you choose your wedding planner. But if they're just kind of thrown into it, yeah, it becomes like, well, is it the wedding planner's issue? Is it Wedy's issue? Like there's a liability of love that I think is just kind of undermined by everything being automated.
Because it sounds like there's still that value of going through a personalized wedding planner.
The big value out of this app is you plug in, this is my budget, and it gives you something that's directly aligned with your budget. But I think there are just enough of other elements that go into why you choose particular vendors. For your photographer, for example, you should entirely choose your photographer based on their personality and how they click with you.
That's right.
You should be interviewing your vendors before you book them to make sure that they are connecting with you as people. Because also during your wedding, you don't want to be around a bunch of strangers that you dislike or have abrasive personalities that don't mesh with yours. Also, if you have a DJ, for example, that comes and has a completely different music style or MC style than like what you're expecting, that's going to ruin some memories.
Yeah, like if they won't play the electric slide.
What are they even doing there?
I know. That's the thing. I mean, it's
Game over. But what if they have like a functionality to like date your vendor or like get to know your vendor or something? Is this something that could be solved, I guess, by like functionality or something that gets added on? Or is this like, no, you absolutely need to like make sure you're vibing well?
My sense there is that they need to, like, to your point, Jorie, decide whether they are all in on the differentiation of the pre-packaged service. And if they are, then Ariel, to your point, they can innovate on the tech to get there. They can say, okay, well, great, sure. There's a base package for this bartender. Here's all the options available from that person. And there's definitely a way to do a date your vendor service or meet your vendor. Like you can create a meet link, things like that. So to me, those are maybe technology solving problems.
Yeah, definitely there are people that are like, I don't want to have to even worry about it. But then does that change also your marketing? Also, do you think that like the inclusivity vibe is going to actually hit with the total addressable market of weddings?
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair question. I wish I kind of went into this a little bit more in terms of like, hey, our current users of Wedy, typically we target couples that are looking to save money or save time.
Yeah.
We provide an automated service for them to be able to do one-stop shop, plan your wedding in a weekend type approach. If they shared a little bit more about kind of the use case thus far, and maybe it is a great solution for folks under a certain budget point, then I think they can really enforce that through their marketing in a number of ways, highlighting the ease of use. But, if they're trying to be, hey, this is a one-stop shop meant to be all in one, but still kind of feel personalized, then I think it's more of trying to instill that advocacy in folks of hey, this is why we should use this. Because I think they have to be a little bit more niche in who they're targeting as opposed to just any couple getting married.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
We only got a hyper second where they were focusing on the business. And don't get me wrong, I love good television, but most of their pitch was the fact that they had someone get married by Kevin live. The whole pitch was just a wedding.
I kind of liked it. I like the showmanship.
Would you guys do that? Would you get married on Shark Tank?
No, trash. No, of course not. But I come to Shark Tank to hear about the business. I'm glad that some rando couple was happy and whatever, and Kevin was there. But tell me more about the business.
Yeah.
But they did mention that they're really focused on organic SEO and then getting referrals from venues and word of mouth right now. That makes sense to me because they did mention that it's a bit of a regional business, right? They're only operating in 7 markets, but definitely looking to expand. I was curious on your take of for this type of business, for this type of app where they are right now, is that the right way to go? Or would you recommend they start pivoting? Give us those hot marketing takes.
My hot take is that SEO is dying. I think particularly with Wedy, what the issue that they're going to run into is it's only one letter off from Wendy's.
Oh.
Right? I did a quick Google search now. You see their LinkedIn page, you see their main LP ranking as number 1, but everything else is mentioning what you can learn from Wendy's social media strategy. So I actually think it's not necessarily going to play in their favor. I think with SEO and why I'm saying it's dead in the old sense is as we're seeing Google come out with search engine optimization like AI, they're really trying to tailor results that are going to be the most relevant. So maybe for a regional play, I could see this having a little bit of a moment, but on a large scale, I imagine they're probably going to be faced with some challenges there.
Yeah. I don't think there's any way for them to beat the knot at SEO.
Right.
Even being a regionally focused company.
It's been around too long. It's too
and
big.
the Knot, I'm sure, has
Sure.
exceptional SEO teams that focus on all sorts of regional listings because that's how people search for things.
Right.
Although Knot's entire business is regional, they just happen to operate at a national scale for regional business. I don't think they'll win on SEO the way that SEO used to work. But to Ariel's point, it's not that SEO is dying. SEO is changing.
I stand by my statement.
That's why she said it was a hot take. It's fine.
Well, no, I think the old model of a bunch of blue links and getting clicks to your website is dying and ranking those based just on page rank. But I do think the world of SEO is evolving. The amount of search volume across Google, OpenAI, and other platforms is not going down. People are searching for as much stuff, if not more stuff. It's just what sort of results do you get and how do you monetize those results as a business? And so I think the way that people are winning right now on search engine optimization is, well, number one is you do have to be able to win with the AIs, which means you have to be able to really communicate your value prop super clearly. But number two, you're actually winning more and more with social proof than anything else, right? And so I actually think this is where a really powerful social strategy would come in. You see how much Reddit is coming up in search results now, things like that. And so I think their SEO strategy should not just be, I'm going to win organic SEO on my regional listing pages. It should actually be a regional user-generated content marketing strategy focused on couples or groups that have actually planned their weddings, or getting the vendors to create the content as well, building basically a content network of social content.
But I also think there's some value too in the video, especially with search in some instances for younger generations shifting over to YouTube
and video
and TikTok
too.
that may not already be married.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I feel there could be an opportunity there. If they're targeting millennials and Gen Xers, we may already be married at that point. But for the next generation that's getting married, it could be an interesting play.
The one thing we didn't talk about this persona, yes, they want convenience, but also the one thing that is almost universal about weddings is that they're budget constrained. And the fact that there's a 24% take rate or whatever on all the services booked through this platform makes it a very expensive option. People will be like, okay, I have a choice between an open bar or booking on Wedy. What am I going to do? They're going to be like, I'll just negotiate with my vendors. Whatever, it's going to stink, but whatever, it's my wedding. I'd rather have an open bar.
Certain venues also will only conscript their own services.
That's true.
I know at least my venue, I didn't have a choice with the caterer or the bartending service. I just chose packages that they themselves had already created.
Right. I feel like they had a very simple mission of streamlining things, and we're just uncovering all the different edge cases that come into wedding planning.
I feel like we went on the negative skew in this episode.
It was a good attempt. The title of this episode should be, "It was more complicated than they originally thought."
Left at the altar.
Yes.
I feel like the Sharks had some similar issues, right? Like Kevin, we know, is the marriage guy, which is why he was the one that was wedding the couple, actually.
So awkward.
I know. But he's like involved with the wedding space, and the knot, he was like, you cannot beat the knot with where you are in the space currently. So he went out. Rob mentioned it was challenging. He's out. Mark honestly said it was like a big risk because they're not taking in enough money, which is so funny because we're just like talking about how like expensive we see it. Barbara, Lori, they dropped too. So unfortunately, these founders walked away with no Shark Tank deal.
Yeah, $6 million valuation was a bit too much.
Wedding bells, more like hell bells. Ugh, you hate to see it. But, you know, not all is lost for Wedy. We have like a bit of a company update. They were able to close the year of 2023 strong with $1.4 million in gross revenue, which was $0.2 million above their projections. So they're very much going strong. You can still visit their socials and their apps. So it might not be for us, but who knows? Maybe one of our listeners is just looking for that inclusive experience. Production for today's episode was brought to you by Arie Desormeaux. Editing comes from Robert Hartwig and support from Alfred Schulz. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or wherever you subscribe to the greatest podcasts ever. That does it for me. See you next week in the tank for another bite. Create Like the Greats, hosted by Ross Simmons, is brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. Each episode hosts an in-depth analysis of some of the greatest creations and creators of all time, along with deep dive conversations on the creative process that went into building companies and brands. If you like learning about history or learning about the creative process, you'll like this podcast. Listen to Create Like the Greats wherever you get your podcasts.